So today I will be teaching you everything you need to know about photosynthesis. So photosynthesis has two parts, the light dependent part which needs light and the light independent part which does not need light. So the light independent part is also called the Calvin cycle. And photosynthesis happens in the chloroplast of plant cells. Okay, so the light dependent part happens in the thylakoid, which are like these like pancake shaped things inside the chloroplast. So the first thing that happens is light energy from the sun is going to get absorbed by the pigments, by the chlorophyll inside the cell. So this is going to cause the electrons to get excited. Okay, now once this is called like this, like the absorbing of light is called photoactivation. So it's going to activate this chlorophyll. And then what's going to happen is the electrons are going to get excited and it's going to photooxidize, which is when it loses electrons. So once it loses these electrons, it has to regain them somehow. And it's going to regain them by splitting water molecules that are inside the thylakoid. So you see here, this is a water molecule, H2O. It's going to get split into oxygen and hydrogen ions. And the oxygen is what we need to breathe. So that is like the oxygen gas that plants release. So yes, now, what's going to happen then is that these electrons are going to get transported down the transport chain by like proteins. So as they get transported down, they're going to absorb, they're going to bring in hydrogen ions from outside the thylakoid. And because the electrons are negative and the hydrogen ions are positive, so they're going to attract and they're going to get brought in inside the thylakoid. Now, this is gonna create a high concentration gradient of hydrogen ions inside the thylakoid, and there's gonna be a low concentration of hydrogen ions outside the thylakoid, and they're going to want to diffuse outwards to maintain like equilibrium, and they can only do that through this protein, ATP synthase. So they're gonna have to get like facilitated diffusion out through ATP synthase. So when all these hydrogen ions are gonna pass through, it's gonna cause this to spin, and when it spins, it's gonna create ATP. So the spinning of the ATP synthase by the hydrogen ions is what creates ATP. And this ATP is going to be used as energy later on in the Calvin cycle. Okay, so now back to these electrons that have made their way down the transport chain. They're going to end up in photosystem number one. And now what's going to happen is again, light is going to photoactivate the chlorophyll, the pigment, which is going to cause these electrons to get excited and energized, and they're going to leave. They're going to leave again, and now they're going to combine with NADP plus and hydrogen ions to create NADPH. So NADPH is like an electron carrier. So now once it combines, it's going to leave, and this again will be used for like energy later on in the Calvin cycle. So now on to the Calvin cycle. So the first part of the Calvin cycle is fixing CO2 from the atmosphere. So plants are going to absorb CO2 from the atmosphere and they're going to fix it. So this enzyme called Rubisco is going to fix it with this sugar called RUBP. So it's going to get fixed. They're going to join, it's going to fix it, and it's going to create um, 3-phosphoglycerate. Alright, so CO2 from the atmosphere gets fixed by the sugar, or UBP, by the enzyme Rubisco, and it's going to create 3-phosphoglycerate. So now this 3-phosphoglycerate is going to get reduced, but in order to do that, it's going to need energy. So where does it get the energy from? It's going to get the energy from the first half of photosynthesis, which was the light dependent part. So now here you see the ATP and the NADPH from the first half, and now that's going to give it the energy it needs to create molecules of G3P. Now this is like the final product, like this is what the Calvin cycle makes. It's going to make G3P. It's a shorter molecule. Now it's gonna make more than it can use right now, but it's not gonna like throw them out. It has to recycle them somehow. So that's the third part. It's going to recycle the G3P molecules, but in order to do that, it needs energy. It needs a chemical reaction and it requires energy. And it gets its energy again from the ATP that was made in the first half of photosynthesis. So these reactions are going to turn 5G3P molecules back into sugars, so 3 RUBP. And this is what is going to get used up in like the first half of the Calvin cycle with the carbon in the atmosphere. And the byproduct of this chemical change is going to create ADP and PI. And this is what, if you remember, gets used up when the hydrogen ions go through the ATP synthase protein. It's going to combine with this, and the reaction is going to make ATP. So nothing is like thrown out, everything is recycled. So now once you have this is going to go back to the first part, to the light dependent part, and now we're back here. So this is it, full circle. Now again, CO2 from the atmosphere gets absorbed, and now we've made again more sugar RUBP, which is then going to get fixed by the enzyme Rubisco, and it's just going to repeat the cycle. And that is photosynthesis.